So thanks for giving up your time today to actually come in and hear our presentations. So what I want to discuss with you is why do you need to transform your business? So what will I be speaking to you today about? So first off, you have to start with the consumer. So I'll just go through a little bit of what's happening in the consumer market in South Africa, and then why do you need to transform your business? Then I'll discuss with you the fourth industrial revolution, and then where to from here. So if we start with the consumer, 60% of GDP is consumer spending, okay? So that significantly impacts any of your manufacturing or telcos or any sort of business, because 60% of the GDP is consumer spending. So what you have to do is you have to look at the consumer. What is happening with the consumer? Currently, the market, the GDP has been under a significant amount of pressure. We were in a technical recession for 2 quarters, but we've come out of the technical recession with 2.5% growth, Q on Q. And the manufacturing industry has also struggled with only a 1.5% increase quarter on quarter. So what's actually impacting the consumer? Well, unemployment is the highest it's been in 14 years. Why is that? So one of the things are participation rate has increased. So that means there are a lot more individuals in the market looking for a job. And that contributes to an increasing amount of unemployment. Businesses are struggling. GDP is low. Businesses aren't growing. They don't have jobs for individuals. So unfortunately, unemployment increases. And this directly impacts your business because they're the ones spending money on your products. If we look at inflation, I mean, it's within the Reserve Bank's monetary policy limitations, but they are still struggling. It increased slightly to 4.8%. However, and it's good. It has been improving, but fuel prices are going up. Crude oil has been fluctuating between $45 and $60 for the last year, and it may continue to go up. What are we going to do about that? How is that going to impact the consumer? Well, I can tell you now, inflation is going to increase because that impacts your transport and all your products that you get to, and your value chain. Consumer confidence, it's been low. It's been decreasing for a number of quarters, for a number of years in fact. Consumer spending, however, has also been trending down more recently. But with the latest quarter, it picked up, fortunately. And that's one of the contributors to the improved GDP. However, the consumer is still under significant pressure. So if we look at household debt to income ratios, yes, that's been trending downwards. People have been deleveraging. They haven't been spending as much. They've been paying off their debt. So that's good, but not exactly great for the economy. Household debt service cost ratios. I mean, it looks low. It looks like at, say, 10%, 9.5%. However, there are a lot of consumers that are spending more than 50% of their income just servicing their debt. So at TransUnion, what do we look at? We look at delinquencies. We get lenders' information. We can see what's happening with the consumer. We can see where they're struggling. And what are we seeing? We're seeing a rise in delinquency in both mortgages and vehicle finance, as well as personal loans, but that fluctuates. So even though certain things are improving for the consumer, yes, GDP has increased, but jobs are still low. The economy hasn't really grown. Businesses aren't investing. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that in mortgages and vehicle finance, which are long-term products. Even though inflation has been decreasing and it's improved, consumers have still not had the chance to catch up. To catch up 3 months of repayments is a massive task for individuals. So why do you need to change your strategy? Well, it's a very tough economic environment. You have to change the way your business model works. There's high commoditization. Consumers are, for example, replacing a more expensive product to a no-name brand. They're waiting till things go on special. They're being much more aware. They're going onto digital channels and checking prices of products before they actually go to the shops. It's a highly competitive market and very saturated. Increasing input costs. So on the manufacturing level, on the mining level, you have a lot of trade unions. The salaries are negotiated to a large extent. Your input costs are going to be increasing, and you can't control that. Unfortunately, the economy is what it is, and low-income earners, they want and expect a higher increase in their salaries. And then the evolving consumer needs. Consumers constantly change. They have different needs. They expect things delivered in different forms. They want products more personalized. So you have to change your business. So what if you could increase your top line, your revenue, and decrease your costs, and ultimately increase your profits? Well, you need to stand out in the crowd. You need to differentiate yourselves. And how do you do that? So, you've heard all about the fourth industrial revolution. So, the third one was, automation, computerization. But the fourth industrial revolution is about combining all of that, right? Having all your devices connected, having a smart factory which feeds real-time data, where your executive, your C-suite, has dashboards on their cell phone, on their tablets, and they can understand what's happening in their factory. But this means nothing unless you actually do something with your data. And there's a lot of hype about big data, and big data is important. You need to integrate all your different sources of data. You've got your HR systems, you've got your financial systems, and you've got your production systems. But big data doesn't enable you to change your business. You need to become an insights-driven organization. That means you need to focus on advanced analytics, or even basic analytics, basic automation. I've worked at Deloitte Consulting for a long time before I joined TransUnion, and it was astounding how many organizations just did not automate certain basic things. I did a project at a vehicle manufacturing or assembly company here in South Africa, and the dealerships had to let the manufacturing company know 3 months in advance what vehicles they need on the floor. However, the dealerships need to finance that, so they don't want to order things 3 months in advance, because that's a problem for their cash flow. And what if the sales don't come through? Then they're stuck. So what we actually did was we designed a model for them, and we were able to predict what dealerships would require what different cars. So the issue was that they needed to order parts from overseas to assemble it here. So by just predicting what sort of vehicles and models these dealerships needed, it enabled the manufacturer to assemble the right cars for the right consumer and distribute it to the right place. The only thing that they needed to do was decide on the color of the vehicle. And now that's more of an insights-driven organization. But that's basic. That's basic stuff. That's not complicated. That's not advanced analytics. You need to become an insights-driven organization. And that doesn't need to cost a phenomenal amount. For example, you could do a cloud-based solution. So you could spend a whole lot of money, put a whole lot of servers together, massive capital outlay. You need to then depreciate that equipment over time, versus a cloud-based solution which hits your income statement every month. And you can deduct that from your revenue. So there are also ways in terms of, tax optimization, which you should consider. But with cloud-based solutions, you can expand and decrease it as you need. It's very, very quick. And these platforms are very secure. So, I mean, start small. Start with your email servers. You know, that doesn't affect your productivity, your production lines or anything like that. Look at your HR systems. Look at your emails. Stuff that doesn't affect your core business first. Test it. It doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg, and it doesn't have to impact your production. So what are some of the benefits and challenges? Well, you reduce costs. If you have a smart factory, you can, for example, predict how much product you need and by when. You can decrease waste. You can improve the quality of products that you deliver. You have improved productivity. You can, for example, scale up or do another batch process or whatever when you're able to predict what's coming in the future. If you have real-time information coming from your value chain, it enables you to be able to be more productive and essentially service the consumer. Millennials want stuff immediately. They don't want to wait. I don't want to wait for a car for 3 weeks. I want to walk into a dealership. Within 30 minutes, you approve a decline by finance, and I want to walk out with a car. And in terms of credit, that is possible, and that does happen. Most lenders are able to approve or decline you within 30 minutes. But you as a consumer want a car. So, what are some of the challenges? Well, as I mentioned, the capital outlay. But yes, as I said again, there's cloud-based solutions. You can do things in stages. You don't have to transform your entire business. Just automate certain things. Build some models. IT security then starts to become a bit of a problem. You could have hackers. You know, it is a problem, and you need to make sure that you are protected. Job losses. So this is unfortunately a fact of life, and it really means that individuals, no matter whether you qualified or not, no matter whether you're a grad or you just got a matric, you need to change your skills so that you actually adapt to the new environment. The other thing is lack of expertise in organizations, and I see this quite often. So companies hire consultants. I was a consultant, and they have no idea what they want. They don't have the necessary individuals in their own organization to be able to help them to make the right decisions. It's really important for you to get the right individuals in your company to help you make those decisions. And have an ironclad contract, because the number of IT projects that I've seen go way, way over budget, not the Deloitte ones, but it happens all the time. You need to make sure that you have specific timelines and an ironclad contract. So I worked in retail for a while, so I really like this case study. So some background in the retail environment. So you have planners, you have buyers. They travel around the globe. They go and look at what trends are happening in, for example, Europe. And then what they need to go and do is they need to then go and find factories that can then produce these items in a multitude of colors and different types of material. And that generally has taken over a year for a lot of retailers to do. It's really, the supply chain process is so long. And by the time the consumer, by the time you as an organization see that a consumer is actually likes this top or this blouse, you're way behind. So what happens? You buy mass amounts of clothes, and then they all go on sale. Good for the consumer in a way, but you might not get your size or the outfit that you want. So what has Zara done? They attach tags to all their clothing items. They can see real time, well, not real time, they can get very close to real time to understand what products they have on their shelves. they can then predict what they need to manufacture and produce. They are able to turn around that 1-year process in 2 weeks because they have everything set up and because they've got these digital tags. So what should you be thinking about as an organization? Well, how will my industry be disrupted in the next 5 to 10 years? Will my industry be impacted significantly? Maybe not, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't become more efficient, because competition is still high, there's still commoditization. Regardless, you need to become more efficient. This is not about just being disrupted. Where's the value for my company, and how can we maximize it? It comes back to, what are the small things that you can do to transform your business, create efficiencies, decrease costs? How close is the revolution to our factory doors, and where should I make investments in infrastructure, cybersecurity, and partnerships? Sorry? I'm close to the end. So, if you're manufacturing, depends. It really depends on your industry. Those are things that you need to then consider. Do you need to fully automate your whole factory or your plant? How much value will that add? Is there an opportunity for you to just integrate some of your data sets? Is a 1 or 2 day lag in data better than a month? Or do you need to have real time? Often you don't need to have real time. But waiting 2 months down the line to get a report to make a decision, that doesn't help. What new capabilities, skills, and mindsets will we need in our organization? How will we identify, recruit, and retain the right new talent? And funny enough, I had this discussion a little earlier. So I have an analytics background, and I've worked in banks and so forth, and we all use SaaS. But that's changing. That's expensive. Companies are looking for ways to reduce costs. People need to transform. They need to broaden their skills. R is the next best thing. It's cheap. It's free, unless you buy the enterprise one. And it integrates into your big data platforms very easily compared to a SaaS. Individuals need to change. Your mindset needs to change. What should we pilot now to start capturing this value? So as I mentioned, rather start small. Don't try and transform your whole business. So just some last thoughts. Remember to consider the consumer. Doesn't matter how efficient your business is if you aren't serving the consumer and the consumer needs. Start small and show value early. As I mentioned, do some models, integrate some data, put your email in the cloud. Stop trying to do everything yourself. Recruit the right people or get the right businesses to support you. And it doesn't need to cost an arm and a leg. So my last point, what value are you going to bring to your organization? Thank you very much.